Hi, I'm Brenda Herchmer. Welcome to FF102, Why Community Building, Why Now? This is part two, and in part two we're going to talk about different approaches to building community. So generally there are three different approaches to organizing or building community. And understanding these different approaches for organizing or building community are really critical for future-focused leaders and anyone who is going to be a community builder. For me, this understanding helped me see why some things were working and others weren't. It especially helped me understand the challenges within our systems. So these three approaches are described in different ways, and I'm not even sure it's really important to remember the exact names. A lot of times they're described in different ways. So these are the most common terms. So the first one is referred to as social action, which is more about being conflict-led. Social planning is the second, which is much more about experts or perceived experts or being led by professionals. And community development is definitely about being citizen-led or stakeholder-led, depending on the initiative. This photograph, more than anything, really demonstrates social action. A lot of times social action is the result of conflict, or it may be rooted in anger about a sense of unfairness or of being overlooked or oppressed or not being fairly treated. And there's an assumption that the only way to make a change is going to require this advocacy or this activist role. And it generally involves some sort of conflict tactic or direct action. And the practitioner who might be involved, may or may not be involved, their role is as much about supporting. It's a bit tricky if you happen to work for government, but this is about conflict. And there's, examples of things like, I don't know, Greenpeace is known for their social activism. More recently, of course, the Black Lives Matter movement. But even locally, we'll see these within our own communities. For example, I think recently what I've seen is when there's a move to close a school in a specific community or neighborhood, people will rise up and you'll see strike action or picketing or lobbying. So those are examples of social action. The second approach is generally referred to as social planning or direct programming, direct expert-led. And as you can see, that we have an expert in charge in this initiative here in this program, and that will often be the case. So social planning or direct service delivery is really about tasks, about getting things done, and it uses the knowledge and expertise of professionals because that's seen as being essential for planning, organizing, and delivering services. And there's this underlying belief that, if you're going to change social conditions, it needs expertise and knowledge. And so quite often we use consultants or people from outside of our community who gather facts and analyze and make decisions. And at the root of this is an understanding that community members are viewed as consumers. They're not the experts. They're seen as consumers for whom we deliver services. This picture, I think, and I chose it because it's from a community that I worked with in Alberta who built a playground. I think it really exemplifies community development or community building because it is citizen-led and it is about people who care about their community. And so as a practitioner or as a future leader, that it's really this process of working within a community and sharing one's skills and resources to help assist citizens and residents in identifying and responding to what they see as the needs and interests and aspirations. It means that you don't necessarily have the power as a future-focused leader, your idea is to provide citizens with what they need to make informed decisions, as well as to emphasize this cooperation and consensus and self-help and developing of leaders. That's really a key role for a future-focused leader. In this approach, it's really this shift that needs to happen in terms of seeing citizens as a potential source of strength and knowledge, accepting them as the experts and as our co-creators. So 3 very different approaches, but community building really results when we engage people around what really matters to them. So why is it important to understand these various approaches? I think understanding these various approaches is itself reflective of future-focused thinking, in that it's no longer, and this is one of the things futurists talk a lot about, is that it's no longer an either-or situation or determining one best way. It's more about and or both. So it's not either or, it's and or both. And it's really, another way of saying it is that there's really no one best way. So in other words, it's much like the idea of the, I think we really like the idea and the simplicity of one best way, or a cookie cutter solution, or one size fits all approach to community building. But the reality is that the job of an existing or an emerging community leader is to find the one best way that is most appropriate for that particular organization or business or community or region. So we really need this as future-focused leaders, but it's not clear-cut, it's not black and white. It is often really fuzzy. What we're seeing is that community development is typically the best way to go, if not the most mainstream. But hopefully we'll have enough future-focused leaders who'll be able to change that approach.